This is Christoph Yalik.
This is Just Janet.
And this is K. Colley.
And this is
the Just Nuggets Podcast.
And we're back with another episode of the Just Nuggets Podcast. My name is K. Colley. Christoph Yalik, how you doing over there, brother?
Doing well. We up. 3-1, by the way.
3-1.
Just Janet, how you doing?
I'm feeling good. We will find out. I'll probably be feeling better later. Today is the day of game 5.
Yeah, it's April 29th. This is game 5. We're back. The Nuggets are back in Denver. We lost in LA. That must have been Saturday. So they averted the sweep, avoided the sweep rather. And so what were your thoughts on game 4?
Well, number one, win. Number one.
I'm saying about game 4. I know tonight, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, well. Okay, game 4. The Nuggets came out sluggish. They've been coming out sluggish for the prior games as well. But they, seem to pump it up by the third period and fourth period and get it done. But that didn't happen this time. They did get better as they played, but it was just not enough. They just started too late. They had dug a hole of like 13, 14 points and consistently went down to maybe I think the closest they got was 4 at the end. And then they got back up. And so it's just not working. It wasn't working. But they just they need to come out with some energy. Not that they didn't have energy. They just need to come out with a purpose.
Yeah, that was the 4th game in a row where the Nuggets had a double-digit deficit that they had to overcome.
And haven't won a quarter. Did they win a quarter? Till the end. I guess they won the 4th quarter 3 times.
They won but they won the 3rd by 2.
Yeah, I think it was more of like a something's got to give game, to be honest with you. It's hard to beat a team 4 straight in the playoffs. It's even harder when you are going for 12 straight versus that one team.
Yeah, because that's been our 12th time beating LA since,
And it's even harder when that team's at home with LeBron James, who's, if not the greatest basketball player of all time, the second greatest basketball player of all time, with Anthony Davis, and role players always perform better at home. It's just what it is. And
another thing, they had LeBron and AD are playing well. I mean, they are, they wouldn't even be in this position that they won that game if they hadn't been playing consistently well for the 4 games.
Yeah, some might say they've played well every game.
Yeah,
LeBron and AD have shown that they are who they are, superstars, top of their craft, even at the ages they are.
The way
the Lakers just aren't going to let the Nuggets take it. You know what I'm saying? No. The Nuggets have to take it. They're not going to give it to them. Right? Lakers are not just going to give this one to the Nuggets.
No.
They got to go in. They got to feed off that crowd energy tonight. They got to find a way to dig deep, play a full game, because in a lot of ways, this game to me is a tune-up for the Timberwolves.
And we're not going to talk about that till next.
I know. I'm just saying, as far as what we need to do, I'm kind of glad the Nuggets get to play at least one more at home, because they can finally put a playoff game together. Like a full 48 minutes, good basketball game.
Yeah.
Because we've been winning this series in spite of periods of not playing exceptional playoff basketball.
That's what I was going to say is, unlike how game 4 differed from the first 3, was the Nuggets still played how the Nuggets have played in all 4 games. But in game 4, when they were making their push back, the Lakers had an answer. If it was D'Lo hitting a 3, if it was LeBron or AD making a play, if it was Austin Reeves hitting something, Rui even had a good knockdown shot somewhere in the 3rd. So they kind of stabilized much cleaner than they had the first 3 games. And then we got to point the finger at them. 5 points from the bench is just not – it's horrible production. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's – if you get 15 off the bench from a collective of people, 5 from 3 players, you win that game. So this has been what this podcast for sure has been ringing the alarm about since last summer. Nothing got fixed, but that's the horse we're riding with. So we can't do anything about it, but that is going to be our Achilles heel in this series. Hopefully it ends this evening and the Nuggets win in 5. And then we go on to play Minnesota. It's going to be an issue in that series. Say we beat Minnesota and whatever it is. and we go to the next series, it's gonna be an issue in that one. Say you get what I'm saying. All the
Yeah.
way up until the finals, it's going to be an issue. So just it's gonna be a dead horse. It's been a dead horse all year.
Yeah. It is.
But
No,
5 points,
even on
but 5 points
parade
is
day,
ridiculous.
even on parade day, God willing, that the Nuggets win again, we're gonna still be saying we won in spite of the bench. You know what I mean? Like the bench is what it is this year. It's not like they're bad. It's just that they're young and we didn't add any real depth. That already because we were
veteran.
Go ahead and say what you're gonna say, JJ. Is about Gallo.
Yeah, we watched Gallinari play yesterday. And he was good. I was like, he could have been a substitute for Uncle Jack. That was your veteran who had been in the league, knows what to do, could hit a three, could give, he's tall enough, he's big enough, could give you some size, and that would have been such a pickup. And he was available.
I want to say a replacement for Uncle Jeff, but he would have been a nice vet off the bench.
Yeah, why wouldn't you say that he would be?
Well, because Uncle Jeff added a lot of above the rim, and he could, defensively,
your style's different, but you're the veteran.
Watching him play, it did make me go like, man, we could have picked up anybody from free agent.
Yeah.
Like we could have picked up anybody halfway through the season that would have really solidified that bench for us. But it
and
just
would have got more than 5 points. You know what I mean? So it's truly, if it's Danilo, if it's insert name, 5 points just off your bench is never going to be sustainable.
Not enough. No.
You got to have people play, and they know that, and that's why I'm stoked for this evening, and getting back out there, because just as the Lakers, their depth came to play, their bench, their role players played well because they were in LA. I think we'll have the same. We'll be back at altitude. We'll be back playing very fast. And I was saying this to one of my friends watching that game on Saturday, is that like LeBron's got to be a little bit tired, you would think. Like he's carrying,
clearly, good point.
Almost 40 years old.
Sure. I think
absolutely carrying this team.
Yeah,
like
I told
AD's putting up numbers, but his numbers are not as effective as LeBron's. Like he's hitting timely shots. He's making timely steals. He's hitting those jumpers that keep you at bay. It's all this stuff. It's kind of crazy to me that he's doing this.
Well, I told Dodd, I said, if we run them tonight, this game 5, close out. It's hard to close out a team anyways, but if you're in Denver at altitude, just run them because they got to be tired. They played a lot. Anthony Davis has played the most he's played in any season, let alone playoffs. So, they got to be tired. I think he'll be fine. But I think he'll be tired, and I think Anthony Davis will be tired. So
yeah, and I think the difference between another point, Christoph, this game 4, the Lakers being at home, they had the ability to kind of finish that game off the way they have in Denver. So hopefully the Nuggets take that third quarter again, how we've done, and end the game strong. I would love to see. I think Jamal Murray was hurt, so I don't know if he's going to be. He'll probably play, knowing Jamal, but if he can get some help or play better through the injury he has, then the Nuggets should walk with a walk away in a game 5 win tonight.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game, to be honest with you. But I see the Nuggets pulling this one out just because they're at home.
Yeah,
and
they know they have to get it done.
They're a better team. They're a better team.
And they know they have to get it done. Come on, I mean, the fact that we're not worried or just thinking about that they may not get this done, I just can't even fathom it.
I think what it is, it's funny because I heard this earlier this year, heading into the playoffs, but it rings true. It's like when your team loses in the playoffs, you have this feeling like we may never win again. And then when your team wins in the playoffs, you have this feeling of we may never lose again. So on the flip side, Lakers fans are like, oh, the Nuggets, we've been leading every game. We've only trailed for less than less than 30 minutes this entire series. We've been outplaying them. The refs have been helping, yada, 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 whatever excuses they're making, their BS reasons, their bull junk reasons. And they really are starting to believe that they're going to win 4 straight to beat the Nuggets, including, going to Denver multiple times to beat the Nuggets and win in 7. So they have that delusion of we may never lose again. Once more, I just think they're going to be a tough out for sure because LeBron James is alive and well.
Sure.
But so is Nikola Jokic,
Yep.
Jamal Murray. I know we didn't touch on it yet. He was, a little shaky with a calf injury. Looks like he's probably gonna go tonight. And I know Jamal, like as soon as I saw he was questionable, I didn't really put too much into it because he's got to get carried out on a stretcher for that man.
Yeah.
He's just got too much will. He's got
And you
too
think
much.
about it, if they win tonight, they're going to have some rest because they won't play to the weekend, I guess, or something.
Thursday, Friday, somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's
Or
got too much of a
longer.
desire to continue to. That's just to continue to play, continue to win.
Yeah.
He's just built that way. So I unless it's something drastic, I don't expect him to play. But his calf. It sounds like from all accounts that he's ready to go. He went from questionable to day to day. And that's what Reggie was heading into game 4. So the medical staff is looking at him. So I do think what happens there and how he plays tonight, we'll see. Do we get a Murray flurry, or do we get like 25 points, or do we get like a 16 point, but like when do those 16 points occur? We'll find that out in live time this evening.
Yeah, it's that Giannis analogy. It's no more playing with your food. Nuggets in this series in 5, get up, you're at home, you're gonna have the crowd. I said it earlier, you're gonna have the crowd in the game. You didn't play well in game 4. You owe it to yourself to play good this game in game 5. Then you get the rest that JJ was talking about, and you get ready for
whoever.
not even whoever.
Oh, that's
Timberwolves.
right. Timberwolves.
It's gonna be the Timberwolves.
Sorry.
At your house though. So if you win tonight, you don't even have to leave Denver.
No, you don't.
So this is the one you gotta go hard. And I expect Jokic to have 30, 35, 40 points tonight.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, the Timberwolves won last night. They beat, they're there. They sent Phoenix packing, and we're going to talk about that and that whole series and what a mess that was, in my opinion. And it wasn't a mess for Timberwolves, of course. It was just a mess for Phoenix. But
maybe we can go around the horn. If Jamal's iffy tonight, who's your X factor? Who's that number 2? Obviously, Michael Porter's will get there, but who's even past Michael Porter? Who's your guy?
AG for me. AG had a great game 3. And in game 4, he fell off a little bit. I think he started, they just, what it was? They didn't even rebound well. Okay, so if they just rebound.
Yeah. If we rebound like the Knicks, we're gonna win tonight too.
If you rebound, and let me tell you what else you could do. You could not have some turnovers. In the first game, I think we only had a couple turnovers. We had 5 in the first period or something. We can't have any, just rebound the ball, don't turn it over and play your game. We win. We win.
Yeah. I mean, AG is the big one.
Yeah.
He had 7 points in game 4.
There you go.
So there you have it. He just didn't look like himself, and he's the one with the absolute matchup advantage on the court.
Right.
So when your matchup advantage isn't taking advantage of his matchup, you kind of get put in a tough spot.
Yeah.
So I think AG just needs to just be AG. Play relax, play as dominant as you know you are.
And
I have very little to no doubt that they're gonna get it. I think the Lakers gonna be energized, and they have the excellent leader. I know this is more so my belief in LeBron James than my belief in the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James will be the reason why they keep it close through 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, and it becomes a nail biter in the 4th.
I think LeBron didn't want to get swept.
I think that's what it was too. And once more, that have been 12 straight. And I think less than them sweeping, it was more that was 11 in a row against one team.
Sure.
So
and the thing is, in the press conference, so LeBron, it looked like they asked him about the game and how, not getting swept, and that was wonderful and everything. But then he had this look on his face that, this looked like he woke up to the fact that, oh my goodness, now the next goal is we got to win 3 games from these dudes. And so I think you could see it on his face. I don't know if somebody asked him a question, and it just, he was so tied into, let's beat this game. I don't want to get swept. I don't want to hear this 12, consecutive wins and all this stuff. So he got that done. But now he realizes he's in a fight if he's going to get out of this series. And so I think that's going to come to, to home the roost right on him.
If we really think about it, it's no different than, sorry, let you go in a second. It's no different than it was last postseason. except for the Nuggets smoked the Timberwolves the first
Sure. Yeah.
3 games effectively. And then they lost a nail biter in overtime in game 4. And they came back here, and that was probably one of the hardest games to win. Outside of like game 5 of the finals and maybe some other one in there. Game 4 versus the Lakers comes to mind. But that was a very difficult closeout game versus Minnesota. They gave us everything we wanted plus some.
Ant did.
I think they learned how to play playoff basketball in game 4, and they brought it to game 5.
So, but in the comparison, the Nuggets are in the same spot they were last season at this point. So they handled business very effectively last year in game 5 at home.
Yeah.
Do it again tonight.
Let's get it done.
My X factor is going to be Christian Braun. He played 12 minutes in game 4 and scored 0 points. So if he can play a little stronger on that bench, I think those are some of those minutes that we need to have critical, scoring mass, or at least presence, right? Steals, whatever. I think if he plays well, I think that'll help us get over the hump tonight.
Yep. So
let's switch to not Nuggets.
Not Nuggets. Can I bring up the first one I was fussing about? Phoenix Suns.
Really? You went there? I thought you were going to go to New York.
Happened? It's like, what happened to you, Phoenix Suns? You have KD. You have Book. Now, let's remember, we played them last year in the playoffs, second round, and they scored together, KD and Booker, like 81 points.
They scored 81 points last night.
And they scored 81 points last night and still lost. They won the game. They scored 81 points on us, though.
Yeah.
That was one of those 2 games they won. And so I don't get it. They got Bill, they got these scorers, but they still can't seem they got swept.
Anybody that's listened to the Just Nuggets podcast knows from day one, at least me, I was always saying that team wasn't going to work. I didn't like the fact of they getting rid of Mikal Bridges and Cam Thomas and all their, not Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, all their main core guys that actually made a difference. Cameron Payne, I think, was in that trade. They lost too much of that part of the roster, which was really the strong part of the roster, the one that took them to the NBA
not
Finals.
there either.
Yeah, they lost CP3 this year. They lost Ayton this year. They brought in Bradley Beal, and that's where Kristoff came in and said, Bradley Beal ain't never really been healthy. Like, why should we be scared of him?
Right.
And from there, this played out worse than anybody could expect.
Yeah, no one was expecting it.
But it played out similar to what we thought, as in they weren't going to win a championship.
Yeah. Well,
here's my victory lap. I knew this wasn't going to work. I was not scared of these dudes.
Go for it.
I thought they would maybe get 1 game. I'll give you that. I didn't think they would get swept because I just thought, KD. But KD's not LeBron.
And KD was
not
in the series.
And what I mean by that is I don't want to slander KD because I'm sure he was getting dragged all day today.
Oh, facts.
He's just not. He's not the leader. When we're watching it right now in live time as Nuggets fans, where we're watching this dude will a team that shouldn't be on the floor with us to close, and then at least a single victory to this point. Could be multiple, but we'll see. Hopefully not. KD, he was turning the ball over down the stretch. He was missing shots down the stretch. When this dude who says, you were my favorite player, game 1 is hitting jumpers on you, talking mess to you. In game 2, you don't come out and say nothing and say, I'm the big dog. This is my yard, or not so fast, young pup. And you're just like, he's like, he's a good player. He's very talented, all that stuff. And then you have the nerve to say something like, what was the quote? I just don't feel like I ever fit into the system this season.
Yeah.
It's like
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I saw the quote floating around, so maybe I won't attribute it to him. But it's still in his behavior and his play. I agree with the quote because something was amiss. And give flowers to Minnesota because they came in and they smacked him around. They did. You saw what Ant-Man was doing on the.
Could they? I was like, can they just get 1 game? Can you just let them get 1 game and then we would have rested the same amount of time? But now they had.
The resting amount the same amount of time is what it is. Like that, it's the playoffs. You always want to do that, but like you're not going to sweep every series. You're
No, I
straight up
know.
just not going
But
to.
we had a good chance to sweep this one, and so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
And
but
nobody expected them to sweep theirs.
But
And
there's a world in
yeah,
which the Nuggets don't win game two either. So like I don't each series is different. If we play the Suns, we probably would have swept them. If we played the Pelicans, we probably would have swept them. Or the Thunder play the
Lakers.
Mavericks or the Lakers, or the Timberwolves play the Lakers. I can't get into that. Oh, we need our rest. Like, because that is what it is. That
Yeah,
truly is what
well,
it is. Each series is its own thing, and each series has its own matchups and its own frequencies. And
yeah,
what's coming from that is what's coming from that. I can't sit here and be like, well, the Nuggets should have done this and they get more rest. I can't do
yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah, I think Minnesota. I mean, the worst casualty of the series is that they may have lost their coach. From being on
yeah,
the
that
bench,
was sad. That was,
or at least he's gonna be on crutches. You know what I mean?
yeah, he'll
Like,
be there. It's just tough. Did
yeah,
you
no,
did it say what
he,
happened to his knee? You got
They said potentially tear. Did they come up? Did they conclude that it was torn?
yeah, I'll look it up. I heard it last night, but
yeah,
I forget what it was.
we
It
saw it.
wasn't a CL or nothing like that, but
Yeah.
it's
Last
something.
last point on KD and Booker. I think they're both reluctant leaders, in the sense of they're so talented and they're the guys that always should have the ball in their hands because they're so good at scoring and as good as they are at basketball. But I don't think either one of them truly wants to be the leader. They want to hoop. They just enjoy playing basketball. And that's why you see KD make that move to Golden State. You see Book like, hey, I'm thinking about going to New York. They just want to be the hooper behind the leader. And I think that in order for that team to work, it needed somebody that was going to take the realms and say, hey, I'm that guy, you get behind me. And I just don't think neither one of them do that well. That's why Chris Paul worked for him.
Sidebar, Chris Finch ruptured his patella tendon in his right knee. So that's not good for him, but it's not his brain, so he'll be physically able to still game plan and stuff. So
Yeah.
coach will be there and they'll probably be rallying around the coach and all that fun stuff. And the second thing I was going to say is what you just touched on, Kyle. Now you see the importance of Chris Paul. Chris Paul, first season there, get you to the finals. Next season there, I believe they got to the conference finals. Third season there, he gets to the second round. So if you think about it, they descended each year. He got there, but whatever. Moral of the story is they were getting out the first round and they were winning games in the playoffs, not just not zero. You know what I mean?
The other issue is just that they need a point guard because obviously neither one of them they tried to run the Devin Booker as point guard experiment, but it just didn't work.
I just think the team is poorly built.
It is.
All what it is. It's like what happened was I didn't believe in it because it's like, okay, so you're gonna go get Bradley Beal and Nurkic. And now I'm supposed to be scared of you guys. So you got a wing and a big who wants to play on the perimeter, and all of a sudden I'm supposed to be terrified of this team. Like this is the second coming. I'm not. And
we weren't scared of them last year. How could we be more scared of them?
Never. And technically last year they were better built.
I think
I would say
they had all
now you could say it. They were better coached. They were better coached.
And they did leave Monty out to dry. Remember it was Monty was the reason this couldn't get done.
And it was not only that, it was Chris Paul. So like those two, I know they missed the playoffs, so it's kind of hard to say like, well, they kind of are right in one estimation, but on the other estimation, you tanked your team and you guys all won the same amount of games in the playoffs this season. Yeah. So what was it worth?
Well,
let's get on to something else.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to say the other one
coming. I have nothing good to say about the Suns at this moment.
The other one that you could talk about is the 76ers, their series with first of all, reveal. I grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. 76ers was my team till I moved out here 30 years ago, and it's always been a Nuggets since I got here. So I'll say that. Let me say this. First of all, when we have a playoff game, we get to the stadium and we sit there and cheer our team on. Obviously, the 76ers fans sold their tickets because it was more Knicks fans in there than it was 76ers. And now that didn't have anything to do with the way the 76ers played or didn't play, I hope. I hope that wasn't it. But it felt like a darn New York Knicks home game.
Or just New York is cheaper to get a ticket in Philly. And they said, all right, I'm going to get my ticket in Philly as soon as these come out. Like it's not even as hard to get up there. I think that one's blown out of proportion a lot, that there's like, oh, that was a New York home game and Embiid making noise and all that. It's like, bro,
Yeah.
what do you expect?
No,
Like,
I mean,
New York travels. It's
They
one of the
do.
biggest fan bases in the world.
It
Like,
is.
what is
no,
what are
and
you
they're
talking about?
excited too because they have hope.
They got
And
first time, long time,
yeah,
obviously. Weren't you
same.
shocked that Brunson was like got a first time stat with all those people that have come
Trust.
through
Think about
the
when
Knicks?
LA comes to Denver. There's times where it's like, dang, there's too many Lakers
Yeah, it
fans
is
here.
truly. Yeah.
It's just the part of basketball. A good fan base is going to travel with their team,
Yeah.
especially if it's a 2-hour bus ride.
Yeah, there's a lot of Nuggets team that travel. Our
Yeah.
Nuggets fans travel. So no, Christoph, Brunson,
Dog.
dog. He got some stat that made him be the first in
Was it
Philadelphia.
45 and 10?
Nick history.
What was it?
Was it 45 and 10?
He had the high. I think he broke the scoring. Like no one scored more points in the Knicks playoff game than him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And then
impressive.
also the 45 and 10, but he scored 47.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, I'm just if you said 47 points, Embiid went for 50 in game 3. I just had to throw that caveat in because they did win that game. It was for me, sidebar, I did live in Philadelphia for a little bit, and I used to go up to New York all the time. They are very close together.
Yeah, it's
so
2 hours.
that's overblown.
And the train is you just to get
that
the
one's
train,
definitely overblown because Embiid acted. We got a lot to talk about. We should have started with this one. We went with the Suns for no reason. One, Embiid acted soft, grabbing people's legs in game 3. Game 4, I watched the clip. This man definitely steps on that dude's knee.
He does.
And it's more intentional
like
than it's not unintentional.
He's lowering shoulders. He's
tripping, bro.
On 2 parts, I'm gaining respect and losing respect for him at the same time. Because the dude's got Bell's palsy. He's dealing with all his knee issues. He can't see. He can barely walk, but he's out there giving every bit of effort he can.
And it's not enough, and that's why he's
stepping
not
enough. But he's giving up 50 and all this stuff.
Yeah,
because they don't have a lack of depth and they can't rebound to save a life.
No,
you know they play very, very, very pedestrian, very pedestrian. But on one end, I'm gaining so much respect for Embiid. On the other end, I'm just like, this dude is dirty. He never shows up when it matters, and take him out of the conversation with Jokic for once and for all. Like, I get in the regular season, he's a dog. He's absolute generational talent. But when it comes, you have to equate postseason excellence to overall arching.
Well, they certainly put that
legacy. And my thing is, when Jokic was in it, all they want to talk about was, he's never been out of this. He's never. What are we talking about when he's got the most games with only scoring less than 2 points or scoring 2 points or less from like a MVP or something? It's an astronomical stat that I'm like, how are we even keeping him in the same breath sometimes with Nikola Jokic? Because he's super talented in January, and every single time that the Nuggets come there, except for the 2021, I believe it was a few years ago, when or 2022, when Jokic beat him, no one wants to talk about that. We just kind of forget that one occurred. But let's talk about the times that Embiid goes up there and scores 40. So like I said, on one end, I'm gaining respect for him. On the other end, I'm losing respect for him. But the Sixers, I think the Sixers are done. I really do. And I think, and if you look at the scoring totals, so you had Anunoby, he had 16 points, right? And we all know what Jalen Brunson had. That dude McBride balled out. He was hitting some big shots, hit a couple threes, and big time threes for him too. He had 13. But everybody else, even Chenzo had 8 points. Hartenstein had 8 points. Josh Hart was rebounding his ASS
17 rebounds,
but he had 4 points. So that's all I'm saying is, like, the scoring was not, it's not coming at you from all angles. So there is a world where Philadelphia, if they piece it together, they still have Embiid, they still have Maxey, they still have, sometimes Batum, sometimes Tobias Harris. But if they could just piece it together, they could make a somewhat of a series out of this. but I just don't see it happening on the Garden. And then, sorry, last point. You can't be at your own arena letting opposing fans come in there talking about F and B, F your best player, and then being in the atrium.
Unbelievable.
Going to your historic team or your historic players' statues and putting Knicks jerseys on them, having kids talk about F Embiid, and go Knicks go. It was not only did they get smacked around on the court, they was getting smacked around in the stands too. And so the Knicks really came down there and made Philadelphia their home. And for that, I don't know what needs to happen, but
I was saying last pod I said the series was far from over. Largely because I knew they were gonna get game 3 and I thought they were gonna get game 4. But now that I'm watching the series more closely, I don't think there's a better player on the court right now than Brunson.
Yeah.
And I think that's just gonna be the end. So I don't know. They might get one more or something, but at the end of the day, Brunson's gonna shut the series down eventually.
Yeah.
I had another point, but I'll for the time being, I will switch over.
Move over.
Yeah.
What
I was gonna say.
you want to talk about OKC?
We'll get to that in a second because that doesn't take too much breath. Miami, they did what Miami did best. They played their hearts out when they needed to. They stole one, but they're down 20 currently, and that will put them down 3-1 in the series. I think this one's done. We all kind of knew it when Jimmy Butler was out, but
there you go.
You got one that was very heat culture of you. And if you had Jimmy Butler, this would be a series. But Boston's doing what they should be doing, and they're beating them around. The one that's very interesting is the Bucks, and they're
hurt. It's done.
Is it interesting, or is it just they got hit with the injury bug?
Injury bug.
They got injuries at the worst time. It's just interesting because it's like in both cases, it's super sad because there was a world in which people were saying Suns versus Bucks in the finals. Because they're just the hype train. They're like, oh, they got KD, Booker, and Bradley Beal. And then they're like, wait, they got Dame and Giannis. One was underachieving and one was injuries. And that's why, as a Nuggets fan, you got to understand how fortunate you have to be to win an NBA championship because things have to just go your way. You have to be healthy and you have to mesh at the correct time. And on both negative ends of that spectrum, you see the Suns didn't mesh at the right time, and the Bucks got injured. So what I say in a 7-game series that the Pacers are better when they're missing their 3 best players because Portis gets kicked out last night and Middleton misses some time because he got hurt. He came back. Yes, I would say the Pacers are better. But if it's a healthy Bucks versus a healthy Pacers, I'm taking the Bucks all day. And that's why that series is kind of always going to be a historic wash for me because their best 2 players weren't even in it.
Bucks could have been in trouble anyways. And the reason why is this. You don't get rid of Coach Budenholzer. You don't get rid of Drew Holiday and then get mad why you don't have defense.
They have no defense.
Playing against one of the teams with one of the best offenses in the NBA, right?
Yeah, they have no defense.
That was a terrible decision. You got rid. If you're gonna, Bud should have never got fired. I said that last year. I said this now. He should have got fired. Now you get, and then above all, the team, even though Giannis didn't like the coach, and I guess that was all that needed to be said to happen. The team played better underneath Griffin. So it is just unfortunate because you get rid of Drew Holiday, and you get Dame who can score, and he was playoff. What Dame does in the playoffs is well documented.
Dame Dollar,
but. From a defensive standpoint, they lost so much.
Yeah.
They lost way too much.
Yeah. What about Dallas and the Clippers? How about that series?
That series is I think that
probably
series
the best series. That series comes down to game 5. The closest best series happening right now. That Orlando and Cleveland, those 4 or 5 matchups are truly being 4 or 5 matchups at this moment where they can go, where it's like it can go either way. And I think that Dallas one, that they're on a collision course with 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Kyrie and Luka are doing their thing like you would expect them, And then Kawhi, did he play at all? Not yet. He may play one game, the first game, or
no, game 3.
Game 3. Okay, he played a little bit. He didn't play the last game they just played.
No.
So
And they blew that lead.
we have that
They were up 31.
Harden went off. Harden was finally showing up, and PG. And what's funny they were talking about? Harden showed up on a day where Philadelphia would have needed them,
and when Embiid didn't play well.
Yeah, and Embiid didn't. So Embiid played pretty well.
Now in the fourth quarter.
Oh well,
And that's all when we talk about Embiid in the playoffs, that's all we talk about. Did he perform in the fourth?
Yeah, that's true. He did not yesterday. But anyways, Harden did, okay, and PG showed up. So they
had a crazy.
Yeah, they had two good going. That's a good series. I don't know who to pick, and we'll just watch it and see who comes out.
Same with Orlando, because Donovan, I'll still stick by the fact Donovan's the best player on the court. So Cleveland should win, but this could go anyway now.
It's funny, Orlando's somewhere along the way. Somewhere along the way, Orlando figured out how to play in the
I know, but now
that's what I was gonna say.
All they do is win at home.
So now I don't know. Everybody's safe face. But here's the thing about Orlando: when they won at home, they were beating the mess out of Cleveland. So did they figure out something, or is it just like that home energy?
It felt like they did.
I feel like I've just watching a little bit of it. I feel like they've figured out something.
Yeah.
Does it travel back up to Cleveland?
Right.
Cleveland now is back and they sleep in their own bed and they feel a lot more comfortable. And their familiarity with the rims and the court and whatever it is that you could say being the home court advantage. Then we'll see the series. But like the old adage is like, series doesn't start until someone, till a road team wins. And they just been holding court at the moment. I had to go advantage. I think that one's also on a collision course with 7. And I would say Dallas is going to win in 7. And I say Orlando wins in 6.
Wow.
I think Orlando's figured them out.
We'll know in game 5 if they figured them out.
Yeah.
Because that means they went to the land and still won.
Sure. And that's what they always say. That's when a playoff series starts.
And that's why I said Orlando in 6. And finally, the last one, OKC. They're playing the Pelicans without Zion.
Yeah.
It's the same thing all season. Like, if they played the Lakers or somebody and they were up 3-0, you get my respect. You guys are playing a team.
They played Zion.
You guys are playing an 8 seed without their best player.
Yeah.
You guys should be up 3-0.
And you should sweep them.
What do you want? You want me to give you roses because you guys are beating an 8 seed? Or you guys scored the most points in NBA history by players all under 25. Well, you guys are the youngest team in the NBA. Congratulations. Like I don't understand. Yes, it's hating, sure. But like I just don't understand why we need to just, bow down to these dudes.
I'll push back because I know people was hating on the Nuggets last year. You gotta be who you play. So next series, you'll learn a lot about OKC next.
Yeah, you will.
I'm just saying they haven't proven it. They haven't proven anything. What I thought about OKC 10 weeks ago is still very much so true in my eyes.
Wait till they meet Luka or PG or or Harden or
I want them in that series. If they are able to beat one of those two teams, they have my respect.
Bring him on,
I think they have a good advantage against men's Dallas. Clippers, they might be a little bit more challenging. Clippers got so many.
Not if Kawhi doesn't play.
Well, that's true, but Kawhi will be back if he's only slightly hurt.
If Harden and PG play like they played yesterday, they can have their hands.
I was like, you got Harden, you got Russ, you got PG, and you got Kawhi. They can score. The OKC doesn't have as many dudes that can lock up all those guys.
No.
I'll stop you right there because he used to be my favorite player. He was for a while. Kawhi Leonard, he will be injured.
He is. He's going to be injured. There's no question about it.
Taxes, Kawhi
and Bill.
Kawhi.
I used to add Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis fooled me this whole year. I think he's got this first time, long time. I think it was in like 70 plus games in the regular season.
Told you, him and Bron been talking. Bron probably put him on some health.
You can't be putting AD in that group anymore. Not this season.
Well, we'll talk about that as we wrap up this episode. Let's go to 2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining.
Well, some people have their gone fishing. Some people have their going to 1-2-3 Cancun.
1-2-3 Cancun.
So I think we just need to have our own rendition of saying goodbye to some of these teams. You can do stuff like this when your teams won a championship, mind you. So the Suns are the first team to get knocked out. The question that we must ask is, what went wrong and how do they fix it? So Christoph, what went wrong with the Suns?
I already said it. They're just poorly built. I mean, I think what is it? Something that's built poorly at its foundation will never stand. I know that I just butchered the mess out of that.
You did,
quote.
but it's fine.
But
not the foundation. Foundation.
Yeah, their foundation was flawed.
How do they fix it? How do they fix it?
They have no money. And they have contracts that are huge that are not very great trading assets. So maybe you find like a desperate partner, like a I don't know, who would take on some of those.
Someone will take on KD.
KD, you could probably move KD because he's
but I was thinking you do something different than that.
Time.
Yeah, you have to do that.
I was thinking they probably don't want to do it. Maybe pull the trigger and see what you could get back for Book.
They're gonna have to give away. They're gonna get rid of one or not both.
I think they gotta
get a point guard. Don't do it if you can't get a point guard because that's what's missing.
I think the Suns are closer to an absolute strip down rebuild than a championship.
It would never happen. But
which is sad because they went all the way down and stripped it all the way down and built it the correct way. They had depth on the bench, young depth that weren't paying these high contracts, and then they went out and they got a superstar veteran to help lead the young guys, Chris Paul, and it worked. And then somewhere along the lines they pulled the gun and they undid it all to get to make a super team that wasn't that super. So
what if I was saying it'd be interesting? What if KD went to Indiana? I think KD would love playing with Halliburton.
I don't know. I'd have to see the trade back, like because you could probably they'd have to give up like Miles Turner, probably Benedict Mathurin. What's the dude that Nimhard? The dude that Bobby Portis kind of.
You end up giving up too much for KD. That's it's hard to trade for KD because you just give up way too much.
You give up a lot, and then
the pieces you want back.
Yeah, the pieces you get back are the pieces that you'll need in about a year.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll need him in the pieces. Yeah.
Move over to you, Jays.
Yeah.
What went wrong?
What went wrong? I think they didn't have a point guard. That's what I said.
How would you fix that team?
Get a point guard with the little bit of money you have.
Who are you bringing in?
I don't know who I'd bring in.
Oh, you're talking about,
I don't know who's available.
You're talking about college basketball. They might need
They got to draft. They got to do something. They just got to get a point. They need a point guard, and they need to get the best point guard they can get with the money that they have, and that'll help because that would help. Now maybe Nurkic is better. Maybe they get they can around the edges get a couple more bench players out there, but I don't think they can't afford to lose KD, Booker, and Bill. I mean, I just think they got too much money in them. So I think that's who they are and that's who it will be. But get you a point guard.
Yep, that's more or less the same.
What is it when you're playing poker? Yeah. You've pushed it all to the middle. You're pot committed now.
Yeah. I have nothing to add. You both said. I know what you said about the Suns. But with that being said, have fun in Cancun.
Yeah.
Or Scottsdale. There's nothing wrong with Scottsdale.
You don't even have to really travel that far.
Yeah, or fishing. Don't even worry about it.
From that this is the Just Nuggets podcast. Nuggets, come on, get this game 5 win. Get this game 5 win.
Gentleman sweep. How can we get that?
We'd love to see it. Let's make sure we get this win.
Yep.
From the Just Nuggets podcast, my name is K. Colley, your podcast's favorite point guard. You can find us on Twitter, X, at Just Nuggets Pod. Just Janet.
Yep. Go Nuggets.
Christoph Yalich.
Hey, go Nuggets.
All right, everybody, take care.
Take care.